Hello, good day! Tumuli ang inyong Sir Jello. Meron ako ulit ituturo sa inyo na math video topics. Tuturo ko ngayon, graphing quadratic function. So students are expected to graph a quadratic function, familiarize with the following terms: A domain, B range, C intercepts, D axis of symmetry, E vertex, F direction of the opening of the parabola, and analyzes the effects of changing the values of A, H, and K in the equation y equals A times the quantity x minus h squared plus k of a quadratic function on its graph. So these are the following terms that we're going to consider once we graph the quadratic function. Now let us first define the following terms. So we have domain is a set of real numbers. Range, in the quadratic function, y equals ax squared plus bx plus c, or y equals a times the quantity x minus h squared plus k, if a is greater than 0, then the range is y such that y is greater than or equal to k. And if a is less than 0, then the range is y such that y is less than or equal to k. Then we have the opening of the parabola. If the value of a is positive, then the parabola opens upward. And if the value of a is negative, it opens downward. So, ito yung tawag sa graph ng quadratic function. Tawag sa kanya is parabola. And then, that is the behavior of the graph. So, if the value of a is positive, then upward. Pag negative naman ng a, downward. So, yan yung tatandaan natin. Then, of course, we have the vertex of the parabola. So, it is in the point HK. So, the vertex is at HK. It is the minimum point if the parabola, or if the value of A is greater than 0, and maximum point if A is less than 0. Then we have the axis of symmetry. This is the vertical line, x equals h, and divides the parabola into two equal parts. Then we have the x-intercepts. We have the intercepts. The x-intercept, which is determined by setting y equals 0, then solve for x. For y-intercept, it is determined by setting x equals 0 and solve for y. Now, the function, or the general form, y equals ax squared plus bx plus c, has two distinct x-intercepts if b squared minus 4ac is greater than 0, only one x-intercept if b squared minus 4ac equals 0, and no x-intercepts if b squared minus 4ac is less than 0. So here, we are talking about how many times natatama yung points sa x-axis by determining actually this is the discriminant. No? If you're going to recall our previous lessons, if it is greater than 0, then dalawa yung tatamang points sa x-axis. Isa lang pag equal to 0, and then wala if the discriminant is less than 0. Let us have the first example. So we have y equals negative 2x squared. So if you're going to notice, yung ating quadratic function, wala siyang bx tsaka c. So a lang yung meron. So kasi posible naman yan sa pag-graph ng quadratic function. So if we're going to analyze this function, ang meron lang siya is value ng a, which is negative 2. Let us now have the answers for each term. So we have domain, which is the set of all real numbers. range, which is y such that y is less than or equal to 0. Why is it so? Kasi ang a natin is negative 2. That is, a is less than 0. Kaya ang ating range is less than or equal to 0. So, ang opening ng parabola natin is downward since ang a natin is negative. Now, dun sa vertex, nasa origin lang siya kasi wala naman siyang B and C. So, if the vertex is at 0, 0, pag tinignan natin yung x-coordinate, that is actually the axis of symmetry, which is equal to 0. Then, to solve for the intercept, we have y equals negative 2x squared. We just let y equal, or x, sorry, y equal to 0. Obviously, that is x equals 0. Then, for the y-intercept, we let x equal to 0. So, y is also 0. So, that means the intercepts is at the origin. Since tatama naman siya pareha sa x and y axis. Now, we have here the table of values. Now, we start with 0 since ang vertex natin is a 0. Now, to check for the other points para mag-graph natin yung parabola, we get two numbers after 0, before and after 0. So, we have 0 dun sa ating x-coordinate. So, 0, 1, 2. 0, negative 1, negative 2. Since all real naman, no? So, we just assign numbers before and after 0. So, dun sa x equals 0, alam na natin na yung y is 0 since ang vertex naman ay 0, 0. So, ang kukunin na lang natin is yung other x coordinates. So, kunin na lang natin yung 1. No? So, isa-substitute lang natin yung 1 dun sa ating original quadratic function. Since x is 1, alta natin. So, negative 2 times 1 squared. So, since 1 squared is 1 times negative 2, kaya nakuha yung negative 2. Okay? And then, if x is 2, negative 2 times the quantity 2 squared. So, 2 squared muna, that's 4 times negative 2, kaya negative 8. Since it is a parabola, it's just a reflection of the other number before 0. So, you have negative 1, negative 2, negative 2, and negative 8. So, these are the ordered pairs. So, we can actually graph now this quadratic function. So, ito yung magiging itsura ng ating graph. So, you will notice that the vertex is at 0, 0. So, that is the maximum point since ang opening naman ng parabola is downward. Then, you have here negative 1, negative 2. Then, you have negative 2 and negative 8. Hindi lang umabot dyan sa negative 8, but it will touch negative 2, negative 8. Same here on this side, you have 1, negative 2, and 2, negative 8. Now, yung axis of symmetry na tinatawag, ito yon, no? This vertical line that divides this parabola into two parts. Kaya siya tinawag na axis of symmetry. So, it's just an imaginary line. Okay? So, that is the graph for the function y equals negative 2x squared. Since it, the graph is downward. Okay? So, that is how we graph quadratic function. So, this is our First example. Okay, number 2 tayo. We have y equals negative 2x squared minus 4x plus 4. So we know now that the value of a is 2. Yun naman yung kinukuha sa quadratic term. So since a natin is positive, ang opening ng parabola is upward. And then ang vertex is at 1, 2, which is the minimum point. So mamaya papakita ko kung paano sinusolve yung vertex kasi may formula naman dyan. Since ang h natin is 1, so ang axis of symmetry natin is x equals 1. Since we know yung vertex, diba, is hk, para makuha yung axis of symmetry, we take the value of h. So 1 din siya. So ang domain, lagi naman yan, set of real numbers. So ang range naman is kinukuha dun sa k. No? Kaya y such that y is greater than or equal to 2. So lumalabas, pag range kasi, ito yung kanyang pinaka since ano naman siya ng upward, yung pinaka minimum na mararating ng graph. Sa x-intercept, there is no x-intercept. Then, ang y-intercept natin is equal to 4. So, pag sinolve natin yan, we just let x be equal to 0. So, tanggal na tong 2x squared tsaka negative 4x. Ang matitira is 4. Kaya ang y-intercept natin is 4. So, para lang ma-prove natin na wala talaga siyang x-intercept, yun. Sinolve natin yung discriminant, no? Which is negative 16. Since ang discriminant is less than 0, wala talaga siyang x-intercept. Then here, doon naman sa table of values, so makikita natin yung vertex na 1, 2, yun yung usually nilalagay sa gitna. Para pag ginraph natin siya. And then, kuha tayo ng numbers after 1, which is 2, 3, x coordinate, and then 2 numbers before 1. So, you have 0 and negative 1. So, dun sa 1, alam na natin na yung value ng y is 2. Kasi yun na yung vertex natin. Ngayon, dun naman sa ibang numbers, tulad ng 2, dun sa 2. So, yan. Kunin natin yung kanyang value. Yan. So, sa 2. By substitute. Substitute natin yung value ng x dun sa ating equation. So, ang lalabas dyan is 4. Okay? Then, sa 3 naman, if x is 3, pwede naman natin i-check yan, no? So, ang value ng y is 10. And then, doon naman sa 0, to, if x is 0, y is 4. So, tatakpan ko lang yung 2x squared tsaka negative 4x. 4 na lang yung matitira. So, ang y natin is 4. Doon naman sa negative 1, so if x is negative 1 squared, so 1 times 2, 2, minus 4 times negative 1, that is positive 4. So, 2 plus 4, 6 plus 4, 10. So, kaya if x is negative 1, y is 10. So, yun na yung ating values. So, ganyan ang magiging graph niya. Yan. So, ito yung vertex na 1, 2, which is the minimum point. So, pag sinabing minimum point, yun yung pinakamababang mararating na point nung parabola. And then yung axis of symmetry, ito yon, is an imaginary line na naghahati dun sa parabola into halves. Then, upward. So, ang opening is upward, as you can see. Then, yung y-intercept na 0, 4, ito. Kasi tumama naman sa y-axis. 0, 4. Domain, of course, it is a set of all x coordinates or yung real numbers. Then, yung range na greater than or equal to 2, since ito yung value ng y which is 2, so equal and greater than or equal to 2, so pataas. Hindi bababa na ang value ng 2. Okay, so that is for number 2. So, to find the vertex in standard form, we can use the formula for HK. So, gagamitin natin yung second example natin kanina. So, nakuha natin yung vertex na 1 and 2. Ito yung formula natin. H equals negative B over 2A. Then K equals 4AC minus B squared over 4A. So, example natin yung kanina na quadratic function. Y equals 2x squared minus 4x plus 4. So, we let A 2, B negative 4, C 4. So, dun sa H, you have negative of negative 4, kasi negative naman yung B, over 2 times 2. So, negative of negative 4 is 4 divided by 4, so 1. And then, para makuha natin yung K, pwede naman substitute natin tong 1 dun sa value ng X. So, you have Y equals 2 times quantity 1 squared minus 4 times 1 plus 4. So, 1 squared is 1 times 2, 2 minus 4, negative 2, plus 4. In 2 minus 0, so y is equal to 2. Or kung gagamitin natin yung pinaka-formula sa k, meron naman, pwede naman. Ito siya. Para lang ma-prove natin na parehas 2 yung lalabas. So, that is 4ac minus b squared over 4a. So, 4 times 2 times 4. 32 minus negative 4 squared is 16 over 8. So, 32 minus 16 is 16 divided by 8, that is 2. So, parehas lang. So, ang vertex natin is 1, 2. So, pwedeng gamitin yung formula ng K or pwede naman na pagkakuha ng pagkakuha ng H, substitute na natin doon sa quadratic function para diretso na yung sagot. Okay? Next, we have the third example. So, we have y equals 3 times the quantity of x minus 4 squared plus 5. So, ang a natin is 3. Actually, yun yung nasa labas. This is actually in vertex form na. Y equals a times the quantity x minus h squared plus k. Kaya yung a natin is 3. Dito, pag naka-vertex form, makikita na natin yung vertex niya agad, which is 4, 5. So, kung ano yung sign dito sa given, that's the opposite of H. Kaya positive 4. Then doon sa K, same sign lang. Kaya 4, 5. Which is the minimum point. Opening niya is upward since ang A natin is positive. Ang axis of symmetry natin is 4 since ang H natin is 4. Ang domain natin is the set of all real numbers. Ang range natin is y such that y is greater than or equal to 5, which is yung k natin. Ang x-intercept, so no x-intercept. Ang y-intercept is 53. Nun din yun, pag ginawa nating 0 to, lalabas yung 53. as your y-intercept. So, pwede naman natin i-try. So, we let x equal to 0. So, 0 minus 4, negative 4. Negative 4 squared is 16, times 3 is 48, plus 5 is 53. Yan. So, yung table of values natin, so, meron na tayong gitna, no, which is yung 4, 5. So, yung gitna natin is 4 kasi yun yung 4, 5 actually, no, kasi yun naman yung gitna or yung vertex. Kuha tayo ng two numbers before 4. So, we have 3, 2. After 4, you have 5, 6. Then, isolve natin lahat yung x x coordinates. So, you have, start tayo sa 5. So, if x equals 5, yan, sinubstitute lang natin yung 5. So, magiging 3 times quantity 1 squared plus 5. 3 times 1 plus 5. 3 times 1 is 3 plus 5. So, y is equal to 8. So, doon sa 5, ang value niya is 8. Next, pag 6 naman, ganun ulit, substitute natin yung x. 3 times quantity 2 squared plus 5. Magiging 4. So, 3 times 4 plus 5. 12 plus 5. So, that is 17. So, doon sa 6, 17 naman. Okay, next. So, doon sa 2. Ganun ulit, substitute. Magiging negative 2 squared. 3 times 4 plus 5. 12 plus 5. Y equals 17. So, you will notice 2 and 6 parehas silang 17. For 3, yun ulit, substitute the value of x. 3 times 1 plus 5. 3 plus 5, 8 naman. Yan. So, nakuha na natin yung values. Lalagay nyo na lang dito. So, yung 2, you have 17, 3, 8, 4, 5, 5, 8, and then 6, 17. As your ordered pairs. Then, yun na yung magiging graph. Okay, so, makikita naman natin sa graph na ito yung vertex. Ang opening is upward naman. Ito yung axis of symmetry. Yung maghahati sa ating parabola. And the coordinates. So, you have 4, 5. Yung isa is 5, 8. So, 5, 8. So, ito yun. Then, sa 3, you have 8 din. Ayun. So, kapatan. So, magiging parabola pa rin yung ating graph. Okay? So, para mag-graph natin yung quadratic function, we must solve first for the table of values. After getting the terms, no, na kailangan sa pag-solve ng or sa pag-graph ng quadratic function. Okay? Let's proceed now with our last number, number 4. You have y equals negative 4 times quantity x plus 3 squared minus 2. So, ang a natin is negative 4. Ang opening ay downward. Ang vertex is, sabi natin, palitan lang natin yung sign nung sa h. So, that's negative 3. Same sign sa k, so that's negative 2. Which will be the maximum point. So, ang axis of symmetry natin is negative 3. Of course, ang domain is set of real numbers. Since ang range naman, since ang opening is downward, since ang a natin is negative, ang magiging range natin is y such that y is less than or equal to negative 2. There are no x-intercept. Ang y-intercept is 38. So, binigay ko na yung values ng y. Pero basta ang tatandaan natin dyan is start with the vertex. Yun yung gawin natin gitna. Okay? Then get two numbers after negative 3, negative 2, negative 1, before negative 3, negative 4, and negative 5. Para makabuo ka lang ng uh, x coordinates or yung sa domain. Para makuha natin yung range or yung y values. So, yan na yung ating ordered pairs. So, pwede na natin siyang i-graph. So, you will notice naman sa graph, nasa third quadrant siya dahil lahat naman ng values ay negative. So, we start with the vertex, negative 3, negative 2. So, ito yun. So, downward, ito yung axis of symmetry, which is negative 3. Ang range ay less than or equal to negative 2. Ito yun. Yeah, ito yung kanyang maximum point. Then, yung other ordered pairs, you have negative 2, negative 6. You have negative 4, negative 6. And then, yung negative 5, negative 18, tsaka negative 1, negative 18, hindi na siya kasi kasya. Pero, eventually, doon naman sa app na ginamit ko sa pag-graph, aabot yan. Tatama si negative 1 and 18 as your points. So, ganyan lang mag-graph. As long as you have now the table of values at marunong naman na kayong mag-plot ng points sa Cartesian plane, di ba? So, makukuha na natin yung ating graph of quadratic function. Both if the given function is in general form or yung standard form or yung vertex form, katulad nung sa number 4. Okay, thank you very much for watching and sana nakuha niyo po at naintindihan yung lesson. And please don't forget to subscribe Sir Jello on YouTube. Good day ahead and God bless.